Hey guys, Ryan Bailey for Charlotte FC. This is Between Two Pints, and joining me today is our brand new team president, Nick Kelly. Nick, cheers. How you doing today?
Hey Ryan, thanks for having us. Really appreciate the warm welcome that both you and the entire Charlotte community has given me today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Let's start off then, Nick, by getting to know you a little better. Could you tell us about your background and how you've ended up returning to Charlotte?
Yeah, fortunately for me is I've worked in the communications industry for probably the first half of my career, and for nearly the last decade, I've worked in the sports world. Starting off in Charlotte with NASCAR at the league office in Uptown, and then more recently, the last 6 or 7 years at Anheuser-Busch, leading our sports portfolio across the entire United States. And it includes everything from NFL, MLB, but more importantly, U.S. Soccer Federation, World Cup, ICC. Women's Soccer League, and about 13 MLS teams. So I've been in love with soccer for a while. Unfortunately, I get the chance right now to really kind of start from scratch.
Fantastic stuff. And can you tell us about your duties as a soccer team president? How does that role differ from, say, a sporting director?
Yeah, it's basically a parallel role. So Zoran and his entire organization is trying to build the best team as possible on the pitch, and my job is to basically make sure that we're doing everything from selling tickets to bringing in partners to community relations to being kind of the face of the organization until we actually have some players. And I think that while it comes with a lot of responsibility, there's already an amazing team in place. And so my job right now is to kind of make sure that we can connect with the community of Charlotte, and we help them have influence over what we're building, because we're only built to a point where we have a name and a brand identity, but we're still designing uniforms, we're still selecting members to join the team. We're in the infancy, but so we're going to do a lot in 15 months.
There's certainly a lot to do, Nick. And what's your ideas for the impact that Charlotte's going to have in terms of, say, the next 15 months before play and going into play as well? I like to think of this organisation as one that thinks outside the box, that does things differently, that zigs when others zag. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing we're hoping that a lot of our supporters groups that are already in place can do is help us build traditions and a culture that lives on game day, but both home and away. We want them to help us with everything from the march on the stadium to what's going on in the stadium. What do we look like when we have fans from opposing teams come in? We love to be a welcoming environment, but that's also intimidating. We want to be the best game day experience in the MLS, and that's where it's this isn't a 4 or 5 year road. We want to be that day one, and it's going to take a lot of work for us to be ready for that. We're going to have to put in a lot of work and spend a lot of time with people who love the sport and love the city. So there's going to be a lot of work hand in hand with those in the community who love soccer.
So what I'm hearing there is there might be an emphasis on supporters groups and working with the fans.
Yeah, and look, this is their team. This is one of the rare times that there's all these clubs and over in Europe, and even the MLS clubs in the US that have been around for 20, 25 years, where you want to make sure that this is the one rare occasion where they can actually build this club and feel like they had a role in an ownership piece and what the culture is here and what the chants are. And more importantly too is we're going to listen to their opinion. The thing is that we already have seen with the 10,000 deposits on season tickets, there is a huge community and a huge passion for soccer to come here, and we want to make sure that they feel like they have some influence over that. So we're going to listen a lot. We're going to have some collective conversations that may be tough, but what we want to do is the output be that everybody's here and on kickoff in March of 22, we're all super ecstatic and proud of what we put on the field.
Now, it's been a challenging year, that's no secret, Nick, but what do you see as the big challenges in the next 15 months before 22?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for us is going to be the ability to physically start, feeling that buzz, because we can do a lot of these Zooms, we can do a lot of, introductions to people that once we start getting players and coaches and those types of things. And it's just not the same when we do it like this. I don't, you can't have, you guys all know what it was like a year ago when Mr. Tepper was announced that we have a team, and there's huge parties and everybody from the Men's City Collective to Ponte Veda's Army are out there celebrating with Mr. Tepper, and everybody here is it's a buzz in an environment, and it's tough because these are great. I think that we want to kind of have that physical manifestation of what this team means. So hopefully, whenever the new normal gets back to that, and let's say it's late summer, early fall, is we're going to take advantage of that and probably try and cram in what would have been 15 months into probably 6 to 8, and do as many of these types of physical gatherings to introduce these new players, to introduce who we are. Because in the meantime, this is actually great, because if we call a meeting with a bunch of people in the community, we don't have to go find a location to to do it, we can just do it here. So it'll open us up to probably meeting more people than we would have. But at the same time, we just want to be there and just physically have an opportunity to engage with people.
Well, I certainly can't wait to get back to watching soccer in person in a full stadium and having pints in person for that matter, Nick. Now, I understand you played football at college, but what's your relationship with soccer? Do you have a history with the game?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up from a very, very young age, playing all the way through high school. Everything from when I was in elementary, middle school in the South, in Texas and Louisiana, all the way lived in Germany briefly, playing there to, in high school, I grew up in the Virginia Beach area and played, but I was never the world's greatest player. I mean, I played with a lot of great people, but I was never that great. And I still at that point followed my passion through watching everything from the U.S. national team to a lot more European football. But it's one of those things that I've been fortunate in my current job to kind of live vicariously through our partnerships. We've got dozens, if not dozens, of team and league partnerships that have allowed me to see some amazing events and matches.
Well, there's a thriving rec league community here in Charlotte, Nick. What do you say you lace up those cleats again? We'll get out there and play some rec league games. What do you think?
And I'm afraid I would tear everything in my body, but I mean, it's been a while. I mean, I've gone out there and messed around with the kids and and had like some fun, just like passing. But a fully competitive sprinting for a full 90 minutes is not going to happen.
I know the feeling. I watch the younger players run by me every game these days. Now, of course, you're no stranger to Charlotte. You did live here before, as you mentioned. What are you most looking forward to experiencing and doing when you get back here?
I really look forward to honestly eating. It sounds so weird, but I really miss a lot of the barbecue. I miss a lot of the just the unique, culinary scene that's in Charlotte and honestly across the Carolinas, all the way from Charleston up to, the Raleigh-Durham area.
Well, we're not short of breweries if you fancy a beer as well. Are you looking forward to that? I've got some D9 here from Lake Norman at the moment. Plenty of options for your alcohol here.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Like I've been trained for the last 6 or 7 years to be 100% allegiant to the Anheuser-Busch flag, and I think as now that I'm no longer employed there and I'm a member of the Charlotte community, I'm definitely have to broaden my horizons. But when I was there was I had the opportunity to go to so many of the breweries throughout town, and some of my favorite beers are still Birdsong was one of my favorites. I still love the Copper Lager. So so the biggest from Old Mecklenburg, I think that that's going to be one of the more fun things is just traveling around the Carolinas and going to some of those better breweries where the food's great and the people are awesome as well.
Fun indeed, fun indeed. You're making me want to get to a brewery right now. But I've got a very odd question for you now, Nick. Are you ready for this one? There's an actor called Michael Huisman. He's Dutch. He's in Game of Thrones. He's in Nashville. He's in The Flight Attendant. And when we put out your press release today, there are a few folks who thought you looked a bit like him. So my odd question is this. Have you ever been in the same room as him? Can we dispel this rumor?
I have not, no. And while I appreciate that, I mean, I don't think I very rarely get like I look like anybody. So I'll take that as a compliment for now.
Okay, we already have one Dutchman on the team, of course, in Thomas Scharling. We're yet to have another, it seems. Final question for you, Nick, and thanks so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. What's next for Charlotte FC from your perspective? What's the first thing you're going to work on when you put boots on the ground? Yeah,
our first thing right now is, and this is in the next 30 days, is we're trying to basically open up, selecting your seat. And I think this, it's really the first tangible action we're going to take in 2021, which is come in, figure out where you want to, be an owner of this team for the next, decade. And I think that what we want them to come in and do is, figure out with your friends and your family, let's convert those deposits. We've had an overwhelming number of deposits, and this is the first real tangible chance to kind of like truly be a part of the team. So we're looking forward to that. I mean, that's in the next 30 or 45 days. And from there, we're going to really kind of work with that group and work with those people who are committed to this to help build this team out from that point on. And because they're invested, they want to be here. So working with them, and the first thing I'm trying to do, honestly, before the end of the year is spend a little bit more time with some of the supporters groups and just kind of figure out where their heads at today, where they like to see it go. Because they're so passionate about what they could be, but they're also paying a lot of attention to what goes on in other markets. So we want to hear, and I want to hear from them because I'm not waiting until February to get going. Like we're going to try and figure a lot of stuff out now. So we're extremely productive because every day counts.
It does indeed. That's wonderful news to hear, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate your time. One thing left to say, cheers.
Ryan, thank you so much.